Hello and welcome to Trash to Track. Now in this episode we're going to be looking at this ViTrains Class 37. So it's been sent in by Larry. Now Larry says that he dropped this on the floor and one of the bogies is loose. So there's some instructions here with the decoder fitting and accessories. More instructions, and then when we open it up we see the 37 is in Intercity mainline livery, a lovely colour. And indeed the left hand bogie there is loose. There's buffers missing off the model. There's one there in the box. So he's asked me to repair this for him. So I'll do just that. It comes with a lot of accessories to fit. When these were new, people said they were ready to run kit-built locos because all the accessories and detail parts need to be fitted separately. And Larry has asked me to fit these when I've repaired the model, so I'll do that at the end. Now, for those that don't know, ViTrains was what was born out of the ashes of Lima. These were made in Italy. They did a 37 and a 47 before going under. And the models themselves are actually quite good, as you'll see. Now, giving it a battery test on the good bogie, these wheels are turning, but the other ones aren't. The nose end is damaged. That's come unclipped, so that will need gluing back on because some of the pegs are damaged. And to remove the body, it's simplicity itself. It just unclips. Unclip each side. And the body just lifts off. And there we are. It's DCC ready, in this case DCC fitted. Very good quality. It makes you wonder what they would have carried on with had ViTrains been allowed to continue. The missing drive shaft was in the body shell, as you just saw. And this model's got lights, although the light unit just fell out there. So I'm going to have to repair all this. Now the actual repair itself, as you'll see in a moment, was quite simple. But it's the rest of the work that goes with it. So I'm going to remove that nose end. That'll need gluing back on because it was broken. Only one peg has survived the fall. So having a look at the chassis on the bogie that's fallen out. The bogie is just a clip fit. Pushing down the clips will reattach the bogies. I thought it was going to be screwed or a bit like the Backman setup. But no, just a simple push down the clip, and that is the bogie reseated, although the drive shaft's not in it yet. I'm pleased because I thought I thought it was going to be difficult to repair initially because ViTrains spares are not common. So I'm going to remove the two screws that hold the PCB in place because I want to have a look at getting the drive shaft in and how the motor's held in place. Now, one of the screws on the PCB showing signs of going rusty, which isn't good. But when I lift the PCB up, to my surprise, there's no motor cradle or anything. The motor is loose in the die-cast chassis. The only thing holding it in place is a small pad on the underside of the PCB. That is all that is holding the motor in place, and I intend to show you that in a moment. I'm going to loosen the wires to allow it to be lifted up. And yeah, the motor simply sits in a cutout in the die-cast chassis. That's it. There's no other padding, no nothing. It just sits on the metal. And I was quite shocked, really. I thought it'd be better constructed than that. So it sits in there, and that black pad underside of the PCB holds it in place. So I'm just going to lift the motor up and engage this drive shaft back into the flywheel. And that should allow this model to run. So I'm just putting the wires back through and reseating the PCB. That sits on plastic lugs so as to not short circuit it out. I'm just checking there to make sure the drive shaft hadn't popped out again. And then I'm going to put the two screws back in place. I must admit, it's the first time I've opened the model up and the PCB screws have started to go rusty. So once the PCB has been screwed back down, I'm going to give it a quick battery test to see if that motor is turning the bogie or whether or not there's any other hidden damage that I haven't seen. And a battery test on the test track proves that the model is now running. I've removed the decoder, put a blanking plate in. And both light units work as well, which is good. So the damage was pretty superficial, really. On the model, it could have been a lot worse having met the floor. But what I do find is when I have a look at the gearboxes. The grease, this orange grease is starting to solidify. So if I don't change that and clean that out, that may end up solidifying and stop the model running. So I'm going to thoroughly service it. I lift the gearbox cover off. This just unclips as per Hornby and Bachmann models. And a cotton bud with some methylated spirits and also some contact cleaner. I'm going to clean all this out. I mean, look at this. This is just horrendous. Horrible, sticky orange grease that's going solid. It's so waxy and thick, it's unbelievable. So I'm going to clean all this out and replace it with some Labelle 106 grease, which is my go-to grease when doing model repairs. So I've cleaned it all off now. I didn't show the footage of me just cleaning the worm gear with a cotton bud. It's not exactly riveting watching. But I'm going to add some of this Labelle 106. These tubes always seem empty, but then when you squeeze them, there's actually quite a lot left in them, he says. There's a bit left in this. It's just been stored wrong, so it's all gone to the end of the tube. So there's some grease, and I'm also going to put a small amount of oil on the bearings at each end of the worm drive, so that when Larry gets his model back, it's in tip-top condition and running order. So I'm just going to turn that round with my finger, that worm gear, just to put the grease onto the gear train. I'm just going to turn that round like that so it don't stick to the top of the gearbox. And then the top of the gearbox just simply clips back into place. And I'll repeat the process exactly the same for the gearbox on the other end. Once that's done, all the wires are fed back into the channels that are in the die-cast chassis. So I put all these back as they should be. I also reseat the lighting unit, and the lighting unit is held in place with the cab detail, which is screwed down. So when you screw the cab detail down, it holds the light unit in place in front of the model. There's also these small rubber parts that you push onto the die-cast chassis to hold the wires in place. So it's well thought out of and well designed, I think, this model. It's just been built on the cheap a little bit, if I'm honest. Those rusty screws and a couple of other bits like loose wiring joints, solder joints, really do mar the model. Now I've done that and I've serviced both gearboxes, I test the pickups on all the wheels. Now the centre wheels don't pick up any current at all, it's just the outer wheels on the bogie. Now the bogie, that one there picks up, but the bogie that fell on the floor is not picking up any current whatsoever. So there's no current draw on that. So I'll put it in the cradle and then gently pop the bogie frame off to give access to the wheels. And you can see there the extensive drivetrain and yet more of this horrible solidifying orange grease. So I'm glad I had to take these off because I'm going to remove all this grease. There's no proper bearings in this model. The wheels and axles just sit in the plastic bogie frame. The centre axle is just floating. It doesn't even got a gear on it. And you can see there the wire pickups that sit into grooves on the wheel backs. Now that is a Lima trait, if ever I've seen one. Especially on their European models. I've seen this on the few European ones that I've done. So the wires actually sit in grooves behind the wheel faces. But you can just see how much of that horrible orange grease is in there. And if I just get it out with a pin, look, it was horrible and almost solid. So I'm going to have to clean out this drivetrain and re-lubricate and oil this because this will solidify. It won't take long. At 6 months out of use and these bogies might be stuck solid. So testing the pickups directly with the leads off the 9-volt battery, you can see the gear train starts to turn. There we go. So it was just a build-up of dirt on the pickups and the wheel backs that were preventing this from running. So I clean all the wheel backs up and the pickups. This is a cotton bud with some contact cleaner on it. Just give them all a wipe round. Clean the wheel treads. Make sure everything is spotlessly clean for good reliable running for when this goes back to Larry. And to be fair, the wheels themselves weren't overly dirty, but the wheel backs and pickups were quite dirty. And then on one of the axles, I noticed, I don't know if this is from the factory or whether it's run over something, but there was this thin plastic wire stuff. I don't know what this is, but it was all wrapped around one of the axles right in there underneath the pickup. and it proved difficult to remove, and it was a foreign object. It shouldn't have been there, but it was wrapped around solid. So I got my scalpel. It's not focusing properly, but I got my scalpel to drag it all out of the hole on the axle and pulled it out, and it was like long thin strands of plastic. I'm not sure what it was. It wasn't the usual hair and that's wrapped round. And then I noticed that one of the solder joints on the pickups was loose as well, so I just put a fresh blob of solder on there. Put the wheels back in. Now the gear train's been freshly lubricated with some Labelle 106. Test it, and it's all running fine on this end. You can see the lights are working, and this bogie is now picking up current. So the bogie frame is gently clipped back in place, and then the opposite bogie, even though it was working, that was stripped and given a clean as well, got rid of all that old grease. And I did that exactly the same way. Another test with the blanking plate, and the light units are in place. The chassis is running fine. It's a very smooth and powerful runner. Very, very quiet as well. Now the body shell, the nose end has been glued on. The light lenses have all been fitted back into place. And I'm going to put the body shell back on. Make sure the body shell on the 37 goes on the correct way. I'm going to attach the decoder as well, because I'll test this on my layout. And I had to consult the instructions doing that, because there's no obvious mark for pin 1 on the PCB, but there is on the instructions. So yeah, make sure the body shell goes on the right way. The body side doors should line up with a set of steps that's on the fuel tank. And once you've confirmed it's on the right way, it is just a case of shoehorning the chassis back into the body shell and just getting those clips around the die-cast parts on the chassis, just working around with a screwdriver or piece of card, and then it will clip back into place. So what I'm going to do now off camera, I'm going to fit all the lamp irons, pipes and that, the nameplates, etc. Fit the snow ploughs and then paint the pipes. I'm also going to look for some spare buffers to see if I can replace those that are missing. And after an hour or so's work, the 37's now done. It's had the horns fitted, lamp irons, pipes and snow ploughs on one end as per Larry's request. The ETH cables I painted orange. The air pipes were painted because all the accessories are black plastic apart from the snow ploughs. I've also fitted the depot plaques and nameplates. Now while I was doing the 37, I also did this 56 for a guy called Jimmy. Now I didn't film me doing the 56. This was another one of those where it was solidifying. Again, a case of solidified grease, which I've covered before in a previous video. But I thought I'd feature it on the running session on this video because I do like the Fastline livery. And I do remember when I was a signalman at Helpston, we had a flow on nights, and the 56s in this colour used to come by screaming into the night at the head of their Freightliner trains. But as you can see, this is running around really nicely now, having been stripped, cleaned and re-lubricated and rebuilt. If you've got an engine or anything you'd like to see featured, repaired or DCC fitted, or if you have a donation, please email me at dansmodelrailways@gmail.com. Have a look and get it sent over, and who knows, it may even feature in an episode all of its own. So I'll leave you now with some shots of the 37 running on my Mark 1 Intercity charter stock, which I got out because it matches this lovely Intercity livery on the 37. And I'd like to thank you all so much for watching Trash to Track Again. If you've not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Like the video and share it with your friends. And leave a comment. I do read all the comments, so they're most welcome. So thanks again, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye for now.